Okay, so hi there everyone. So I'm Ben Orsesi
I'm Janet Willoughby.
with some of the careers and HE advisors here based at Angel Campus. Um, and obviously we've been speaking to you a lot recently about all of your applications and things like that. So we're just going to provide you with a session today. It's called Life After CANDI. And we'll give you some information now what we're going to cover in this session. So many of you, as we know, because we've been helping with your UCAS form since, I suppose, submitting these since September, those of you that applied early. So many of you will start to receive your offers. So we're going to explain the process of responding to university offers and what you should be doing with that, and some timescales on that. We're going to get you to think about the UCAS process. If you've changed your mind, you might be feeling quite indecisive at the moment, or whether you should stick with what you've chosen or how that works, whether it's even possible. So explain to you how that works. And also, some of you may not have actually applied to university, but you might feel motivated and driven to do that. So we'll explain to you, obviously, you can do that now. Many of you may think to take a gap year or find employment. So we'll give you some tips on what you should be doing to make, I suppose, sort of good use of that time. Many of you may decide to end up applying after your A-level or BTEC results. So we'll give you some advice on the process and how we help and support you with that. And then you're going to hear from some clips from students from different universities, and these are real students. They're going to talk through their experiences, about a bit about their kind of university experiences, and how they made decisions and how they've made this transition from school, college or sixth form onto a kind of university. Okay. So many of you obviously got your offers already. Some of you might be in a really good position where you've heard back from 5 of your universities already. Okay. Many of you may have heard the UCAS deadline has been extended, so this has had an impact on the responding to offers time. Okay, normally it's around April, May, but it will be specific on your individual application. So it's all depending on when you've heard back from all of your choices. So if you still haven't heard back from 1 or 2 of your choices, your deadline date for responding gets kind of pushed back. But historically, it was always around the beginning of May. But because of obviously the current situation, for many of you, it'll be around early June. The sort of trick there is just to go onto your UCAS track. And said if you've heard back from all 5, it'll give you a kind of actual deadline date to respond. And there's no rush, I suppose. That's one of the key points to make. You don't have to rush to do this. The offers can't be taken away. Do you want to give a quick overview, Janet, on firm and insurance and what that is?
Yeah. Okay, so basically with UCAS, there are many windows that open and close throughout the time that you are your application process. So obviously, after you've made your choices, and a lot of you will start to get your decisions back. Pretty much by like February time, you'll start to get answers in terms of you need to start deciding on what your firm choice is, which is your first choice, as well as your insurance backup choice. So again, the career service is available for you to have those conversations with myself and Ben, just in terms of really firming up what your top 2 choices are at that stage. So yeah, we're quite happy to kind of have those conversations with you to kind of make sure that you've got your first and second choices adequately chosen for yourselves. And I think it's really important.
I mean, your firm choice as well is just your natural number 1 choice. It's the time when you're picking, it doesn't have to be the highest choice and the lowest ones. It's the one you really want to go to.
That's right.
And sometimes your insurance, in a logical way, will be lower than your firm choice, but it doesn't always work out like that. You can pick your firm insurance choice yourself through UCAS track. But I mean, Janet and I are happy to have sort of careers appointments with you to have a discussion. That might be quite a good, especially if you've worked quite closely with one of us throughout this process. It could be a kind of nice, quite a good organic way of bringing that decision making there to an end. Okay. Mm-hmm. Some of you may have unconditional offers from university. Some of you may have had things where a firm choice will become an unconditional if you pick it as a firm choice. Just be careful with these. I mean, obviously, it's a fantastic opportunity if this was the university you really wanted to go to in the first instance. But I think seek advice, seek guidance, speak to your teacher, speak to us as career specialists in the college. Obviously, we won't tell you what to do within that, but it's important to make a sort of sensible choice of that and not be swayed because it's an unconditional offer. Okay.
Cool.
Now, this is a big decision, isn't it? We can't, dress it up in any other way. I mean, it's, you've all made a pretty big decision to come to study A levels at the sixth form, or in the sixth form building of Angel campus, or to do a BTEC here. But this is a really big decision whether you should go to university, and I think it's perfectly, normal to feel a bit unsure about this. Okay. You may be having this sort of decision making, is it really worth it? Is it really worth the investment? Should you consider some of the other kind of other post 18 options? Should you be thinking about apprenticeship? Should you be thinking about a gap year? What do you think are some of the reasons, Janet? Reasons of what we go deeper in it? Why do you think some people might be, having this feeling of being indecisive? What might be some of the triggers for that? Do you think?
I mean, obviously, it's a big commitment, isn't it? It's a 3 or 4 year pathway, and for many students, it's they were not sure in the first place as to whether they wanted to go to university. And for some students, they would have gone through the process and applied. Many of you have actually gone through the process of actually applying, but at the same time, they've still had those question marks in their head in terms of, is it something I actually really, really want? So there are big questions. And I think especially for those students that, like myself pretty much, when I was a young person many years ago, were quite open-minded about what they wanted to do with their future. So I think sometimes for those students who are really, really not sure about the bigger picture as to what they want to do for their career, sometimes for them, university is not a viable option because they just see it as further study for 3 years and debt. So there are many reasons why people do change their mind, but Angel Campus Careers Service, we still pretty much do encourage and support you all to kind of have that as another kind of backup plan anyway, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, it's never going to be, I suppose, this decision you're making, especially if you move away from home, and obviously in the current situation we're all living in at the moment, makes everything feel a little bit clouded and stuff as well. I mean, there's never always 100% reality that's exactly the right decision. There's always an element of doubt in lots of this decision.
That's right. That's right.
But don't be, I think some of the key messages we said to you as Year 12 students, you've got to have an academic interest in the subject. Sometimes you can get too clouded on the bigger picture of why am I doing this? What careers are leading to? What's the point of that? I mean, we're telling you as careers advisors we have for since Year 12, going to university isn't deciding about what career you want to do, especially if you're doing a non-vocational course, but you've got to have that academic interest in the subject. If that's the question marks you're having, then I would be probably, again, we're not going to tell you what to do in a careers appointment, but we're certainly going to allude that maybe you need to take a step back.
Yeah. And also, as we always mention, Ben and I are here to support you with your decision making, and sometimes it does help to kind of breathe life into it, really. So for example, if a student said, for example, they were interested in nursing and they ideally wanted to do it as an apprenticeship, for example, I would always most certainly encourage them to also apply for university, because the nursing qualification is actually hands-on and vocational. So it's definitely a conversation whereby we would still encourage you not to rule out the university pathway. And sometimes it's about having that conversation with you and getting you to really understand that, especially for the vocational courses, there is a huge level of theory implemented into it anyway, whether you decide apprenticeship or university. So it's those kinds of conversations that we do have with you all, really, in terms of what is the key aspects that you hope to gain from that qualification. What are the key skills that you want to gain and learn? What is your objective for doing it in the first place? And hopefully we can come to some sort of understanding as to why.
But talking through it, anything in life, isn't it? Talking through it, we're career advisors, we're always good talkers, but obviously part of our skill set is to listen as well.
That's
so we may pick up on things which you might just be saying something quite loosely, but we may give you the reassurance you kind of, are kind of looking for, really. So if you feel you want to talk about it, we will happily, as many of you have done already, having online careers appointments, we'll happily have discussions. We can have a Microsoft Teams meeting like this. We can bring up your offers here through sharing the screen and stuff, and we can talk it through. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's move on. Okay. So don't panic if you haven't applied yet, I would say, really. Like, I mean, as you may have heard, the UCAS deadline has been extended, I think, to the end of January, which is great news. I mean, we are saying if you want to meet that deadline, we try and be as flexible as you can. I'm sure you've seen those already. There's quite a few, quite a long process you go through, but it's a supportive process to help you there. We do need a form submitted to us on careers by, I think, the 18th, which is Monday, I think that day is. Then that gives us a time to get interviews and stuff. You have appointments with Janet Ryan, get your references and things checked. But don't be alarmed if you think that's a bit of a struggle to meet that deadline. Okay, you can still apply to university after the kind of actual UCAS deadline. It will be classed as a late application, but UCAS accepts it. Universities still give offers. We don't tell you this at the start of the academic process, but we deal with UCAS forms, September to September, isn't it, Janet? Really, in lots of ways.
Right.
But students do get offers if they apply after the deadline. But it's not ideal. But as I said, it's even if you haven't applied and you have a big sort of inspiration in February or March of something you see and you want to apply, we will happily help you with that. That's no problem.
Absolutely.
If in doubt, get in touch with us. Send us an email to the CANDI career site, our website, and then we'll take it forward. We'll take it from there. So many of you may be thinking, you want to have a break. I mean, it might be even more reason than ever to think you need a break from study. Lots of reasons. First thing I'd say is that obviously make an appointment with Janet or Ryan. Okay, go through the same process you have on some of the UCAS booking careers things there. I think if you're looking for work, maybe you need to have a look at your CV in the first instance. We need to think about, finding work at any time is not easy. I mean, at the moment, there are other challenges in finding work and stuff as well. But we would hope, and let's be sort of positive and forward thinking, things are going to open up a bit more in post-lockdown things, especially when you get to the end of your A-level and BTEC studies this summer. So there'll be more opportunities, you would hope, than before. And, we can really, provide you with some information of how you might be able to stand out from the crowd a little bit more. And that's especially the case if you're looking for quite a sort of competitive opportunity. What do you think?
Most definitely. I think I just wanted to also add about the whole kind of gap year and employment advice section is that it's really important that you can kind of back up what you're saying in practice, because I think time and time again, students will say, oh, I'm going to take a gap year. Well, the beauty of discussing that with Ben or myself is that we will actually, it's not about catching you out. It's about having a conversation, a really honest and open conversation about what that actually will look like in practice. Because I think for many years, the word gap year has been used almost like a coin of phrase. I'm going to take a gap year. But I think for us as in the career service, it's really important that we kind of map out and help you to map out what that's going to look like. Because I think with this pandemic, I would actually say that a lot of us have kind of had a different way of living and working. So a lot of the buzzwords that would have been said within a gap year, reevaluating sense of self. Well, I think lockdown has helped us all evaluate that sense of self. So you have to kind of have a little bit more to say for yourself than just a journey of exploration. There's got to be a little bit more tangibility now. So they're the kind of conversations that we love to have with students that are interested in that gap, because we want to make sure that you are plugging it with meaningful opportunities and creating scenarios that when you do decide to get back into employment, or if you decide to learn or go to university or whatever, that you do have something to say for yourself to account for that gap. I think it's really, really important. So we are really open. We have honest and open conversations with students that are interested in that pathway, and also the same as employability as well. Just our prime focus is to get you job ready. Ultimately, all roads lead to getting a job, right? Yeah.
So leading on from that, I mean, there are lots of volunteering opportunities. We could signpost this to you. I mean, we've got a wealth of opportunities on our Moodle pages and stuff. Yeah, I mean, if you haven't been using them, you should be already. it's a sort of, don't be saying this like a broken record, but there's still lots of opportunities in our Get Ahead News Bulletin. Yeah, there are lots of, although these obviously are still kind of at the moment online opportunities, there are things you could be doing to strengthen applications for things in the future. And you need to take advantage of these opportunities while you're still here in the college. Yeah, you're not going to get these bulletins and options. I mean, well, we'll provide you in a minute on the next slide about supporting you as an ex-student applying to uni, but you won't get the same support from us as students in terms of opportunities being sent to you. I mean, these emails will end at the end of year 13 here, yeah. So take advantage of while things here are in front of you. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Just to pick up on the point that Ben just made, it's like we also work with ex-students in supporting them to apply for university. So, for example, I spoke to a recent ex-student who was still pretty keen. They'd seen some opportunities online, but then they realized that that particular opportunity, you had to be linked to your sixth form or college. So it goes back to what Ben was saying, is that, you've got that link still whilst you're with us to kind of still be active in seeking out opportunities and make the most of that link, if that makes sense. So don't just leave it. Don't just leave this academic space without kind of grabbing that employability skills that you can have along the way.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Okay, so last slide here before we look at some of the students from other universities. I mean, I'm sure Janet would agree. We have times of the year where sometimes I feel I'm as busy with UCAS forms with ex-students and with current students. Yeah, I mean, it's part of the service we want to provide for you students. I mean, you can apply independently to university, but it's really not the way to do it because you don't get the reference done in the same way. So if you feel at the end of this academic year, maybe you have applied to university or maybe you haven't, okay, especially because you filled out that, hopefully that information from our tutor reference form, which we'll have on file for you. This will really help us, especially when doing your reference. So if you decide you want to apply within your gap year, okay, I mean, we will happily help and support you. I mean, really, it's just about getting in touch with one of us at the careers department or in our sort of general careers email, and we can help and support you with a new UCAS application. Not a problem at all. I think in years gone by, just with A-level students, we can be sometimes supporting up to 50 to 70 ex-students with a UCAS form. Okay, so we can give you some really good information around the key things which you'll need to get your form sent off and processed and moving forward. So things around obviously references, predicted grades, certainly if you're doing kind of resits and stuff. Like, I mean, obviously you won't be sitting exams this year. Obviously the government's made changes on that, but you may feel you want to sit an exam next academic year. I get that, I understand that. Whether that will be an option for students to reset at the college, we don't know yet. It was obviously provided for last year's group, but we have a wealth of places we can advise you where you can do external resits. You obviously do have to pay for that as well. But yeah, I mean, we offer ongoing kind of e-guidance to all students and stuff. I mean, as I said, I was dealing with an ex-student this afternoon, helping him with his UCAS forms and things going to go back and forth. So I think if you're this student, like we said before, being decisive, you don't want to go, just keep in touch with us. We'll kind of support you in exactly the same way with your UCAS in this year's year 13. And if it's a completely new, if it's a similar course that you've already applied for this, I mean, the personal statement doesn't have to be completely rewritten. It certainly would need to be updated. But yeah, I suppose the advice is there, get in touch, isn't it, Janet, really?
Yeah, totally. And also we love to stay in touch with our former students, and many of our students do keep in touch and let us know what they're doing. A recent student came back to visit us on site, obviously just before the recent lockdown, and she shared that she secured a digital marketing apprenticeship with Google. So we are always happy to hear from you even after you've left us, so stay in touch.
Yeah.
Okay, so as Ben mentioned earlier, we're going to kind of listen in on some of the experiences from students at university. And this particular student, Emma, is actually at Lancaster University. She's just going to be explaining a little bit about work experience opportunities.
Hi Candy, I'm Emma. I'm a fourth year biomedical science student at Lancaster. I did a placement year last year. I worked in the Royal Preston Hospital. I worked in the pathology labs, And the reason I chose to do that was because I didn't really know what I wanted to do for a career. And the opportunity to do a placement, I think, really helps you make long-term career decisions. I really enjoyed the experience as a whole because I got to meet so many different people. Working in the hospital, I saw doctors, nurses, all of the different scientists. I understood so much more about what a working life actually is. And I think I just got so much out of it in terms of learning, but also like personal skills and how I developed myself as a person. I became so much more confident and professional. I decided that I didn't want to do that personally as a career as a biomedical scientist, but I chose to actually apply to do medicine instead next year. But all the work experience that I got from the hospital has helped me do that, and all the contacts I made have meant that I've been able to do that. So it was definitely the best decision that I could have made.
Okay.
Hi, Candy.
Okay, we'll move on.
Hi, CANDI students. My name is Gesaida. I'm a second-year student studying biomedical sciences at Middlesex University. Fun fact about me is that one of my favorite hobbies is playing tennis during my free time. And here at Middlesex University, I was able to join the Real Tennis Society, where I would train with other students from different courses and book the real tennis court with my friends. I went to CANDI from 2017 to 2019, and I really enjoyed my time there. I'm here to talk to you about what it's like to move away from home. So if you're someone considering living away when you go to university, this video is for you. Living home is definitely a new experience, and it has taught me so many new things about myself and helped me become more independent. It's really exciting and I've had a great time, but before you decide if you want to move, consider some of the pros and the cons that you may face to decide if it's right for you. It's important to research the accommodation and factors around you, how you will feel when you leave home, and how you will cope in a new situation. Moving away from home, it's not only about being independent, it teaches you new ways of managing money and learn how to look after yourself. I personally think it's a good idea to find accommodation near uni, as it's easier to socialize. There are many events that happen at uni during the week or the weekend. Another reason why it's a good idea is the travel distance. The shorter the commute, the better, as it gives you more time to sleep or study rather than being stuck in traffic, rushing to get to your lectures, seminars, or back at home. Middlesex is a very diverse university, which will give you the opportunity to meet many new people from all over the world. Like me, many people I know were worried that they wouldn't make friends when they came to uni, but we did, and it's easy to forget we are all in the same position. There are many students that have moved from a different country and they didn't know anyone, and they're counted to befriend students at their accommodation before uni starts. You will have an opportunity to move to your accommodation before uni starts, which will allow you to socialize and make new friends. The halls will also organize game nights, movie nights, and speed meeting, which will allow everyone to attend in hopes of finding new friends or looking to find people that are on their courses. For the first year, I stayed at Platt Hall, which is one of the accommodations that the university offers and is very close to uni. I had an ensuite room and a shared kitchen with 5 other girls, where 4 of them were from other countries and 1 of them was from the UK. We spent some time together before uni started, and then most of us socialized with people from our course or one of the societies that we were a part of. I was able to meet so many of my course friends at Platt Hall, which gave us the opportunity to go to uni together whenever we had lectures or seminars together. We planned study sessions at our hall or at the university library, and we were always there when one of us needed each other. Right now, I live at a private accommodation, which I share with friends I met through work that I've done for the university. If you feel overwhelmed, homesick, alone, do not suffer by yourself. There are many people that are going through the same thing, and the ones that care for you and your well-being will always be there for you. And don't be afraid to reach out to your loved ones or contact well-being services at uni. You can always ask a question. Lots of universities, including Middlesex, have a live chat function where you can talk to students via Unibuddy. I wish you the best of luck with your university application, and remember, there's tons of support for you if you need it. Goodbye.
Okay.
Hi, Can.
Hi Candy, I'm Maria, a second year English Literature, Creative Writing and Practice student at Lancaster University. Now, when you come to university, the teaching and learning is very different from school. If I had to sum it up in one word, I'd say independence. Although at A-level you're required to be more independent than in previous years, there's quite a big jump to university teaching, and this can be quite difficult for a lot of people. Firstly, in terms of the structure of your teaching, you generally will have a lot less structure. Depending on the course, you'll have far less contact hours in teaching than at school. You might have maybe 2 to 3 lectures and seminars a day, and then it's really up to you in terms of how you structure your time. I definitely say being organised is absolutely key. It's up to you to fit in and maximise your learning as well as everything else university has to offer you. But how does it actually work? So again, this differs depending on the degree, but your degree will normally have a combination of lectures and seminars, and then perhaps additional labs and workshops. I think for me, one of the biggest transitions to university was the fact lectures can hold up to 400 people. It will really depend on the number of people on your course. And particularly going from A-level and small group teaching, this was definitely a surprise. However, you have your lectures alongside seminars, which are small group discussions, so you get this really close-knit environment as well. I really like the fact that there is a lot more flexibility at university, and this applies to both teaching and learning. As I said, there's a lot less structure, so you're free to do your learning at whatever time you like. Particularly at Lancaster, we have a library that's open 24 hours, 7 days a week. So if you want to study at 2 o'clock in the morning, you absolutely can. I also really like the fact that although it's very independent at university, there are always support networks and people who are willing to help you. If you've got any questions or want more information about the subjects you're studying, your tutors and professors are more than willing for you to go to them and ask all these questions. They have office hours during the week, and they're normally just an email away too. You'll also be assigned an academic tutor who you meet with every term or so to check up on your academic progress. I like the fact you have this support network, but you're also free to be independent and flexible on your own level too.
Okay.
Hi Candy, I'm Philippa. I'm a third year history student here at Lancaster University. So I'm going to talk about the transition from A-levels to degree. So I actually did my A-levels in a school. So I just stayed at the school that I did my GCSEs at. So there wasn't as much of a transition between GCSE and A-level for me. I had the same teachers, the same structure, the school day. So that didn't change. I didn't go to college, so I didn't get that sort of independence at A-level. When I got here to Lancaster, it was, of course, very different because it's much more independent study minded. So my assessments are usually about 40% coursework, which is one essay, to 60% exam for history. Obviously, that's subject to change at the moment because we haven't been doing exams due to the pandemic. So in first year, there were 5% seminar grades as well to encourage people to talk in seminars, as well as 100% coursework modules available, which are still available in second and third year. Those did play a bit of a part in my choices to come here because some universities, their history course is 100% exam, or some of the modules are, and that didn't really appeal to me. So I quite liked the aspects of coursework and potentially group projects, which I did back in first year. So there is a transition. You have to learn to work much more independently, but obviously because you guys are at a college, then that will be easier for you to manage than it was for me.
Okay. All right, so we heard from quite a few students there, just giving us some insight into their university experiences. And like we said earlier on, it's like Ben and I are here every step of the way to support you with your decision making after CANDI. But I think it's quite interesting when you hear about their own experiences, and which were all recorded quite recently within this pandemic. So.
And just to say that as well, I mean, obviously, we're not in any way here just plugging Lancaster University. Obviously, there were some good examples there. I think on our CANDI Careers YouTube page, isn't it?
There's loads.
There's loads, isn't there? So I mean, this is just you know, loads of students with loads of different backgrounds and stuff on there as well. So just if those hearing from those has been helpful, have a look over there because there are other ones there you can look at as well. So this is going to go in our Get Ahead news bulletin, isn't it? These events that are coming up here. So I mean, there is a kind of university collaboration thing where you can register it. It's going to be sent to you on the Get Ahead news bulletin. I think you can, once you get this PowerPoint. So again, it's similar to what we've heard there about the sort of transition onto university, what you can expect. And I suppose as well, they'll talk a bit about, in the current climate as well, what help and support you can get in moving on from a college onto a degree program. And you may not have heard, or you may have had it in your tutorial, but you do need to apply for student finance. You do this yourself independently through student finance around the end of February. There's going to be a talk there just after, looking at the dates there, just after half term, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you do apply for that online, but it's independently. It's not through the CANDI careers for our kind of college, but we can obviously offer and help as much support as we can on that, really. So that's about everything we wanted to cover today, isn't it, really, Janet? Like, I mean, as I said,
Yep.
there's you've got big decisions and stuff to make, but as Janet said, we're here to help you alongside the way. So, get in touch with us if you've been in touch with Janet or I through appointments already. Just drop us an email. But there are other sort of processes to get involved to make a careers appointment to discuss things through. And hope you found that session useful today. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Bye, everyone.